us this morning. This is going to be CardNotPresent.com's April webinar, and I'm Stephen Casco, CEO of CardNotPresent.com and the CFP Expo. This month, we're going to be doing a deep dive on a topic that's becoming more important to our readers as their businesses grow and expand beyond their borders. How do I optimize payment conversions globally? You know, when converting buyers, each and every connection is a vital one. And addressing shopping cart abandonment is important, but also leveraging global markets, well, that can give you more chances towards positive profit margins. Today, we're going to see real-world case studies and hear how to capitalize on the growing global opportunity in e-commerce, reach more global shoppers, tackle shopping cart abandonment, and optimizing your checkout experience. So this morning, we're going to have a featured speaker, Jeff Coppola, BlueSnap's Head of Global Business Development. And Jeff's got over 25 years of experience in the payments and the financial services space. So Jeff, thanks so much for joining us this morning. The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Steve, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I'm Jeff Coppola. As Steve said, I'm Head of Global Business Development for BlueSnap. So today we're going to talk about the huge opportunity in global e-commerce. We're also going to address some of the challenges affecting cross-border sales, and we'll discuss a few real-world case studies where BlueSnap helped merchants increase sales globally and optimize their payment conversions. Finally, we'll leave you with some key things to think about in developing your strategy to sell globally. And of course, we should have a few minutes left over to answer some questions. So let's start with a brief introduction to BlueSnap. So as you can imagine, we're pretty excited about this huge opportunity, and here's how we're helping merchants solve the challenges of selling globally through one connection to a smarter gateway. There's three primary components to BlueSnap's gateway value proposition: global payments with a localized checkout experience, intelligent payment routing, where we connect our merchants to multiple acquiring banks to allow for intelligent payment processing and failovers, and flexible integration options. So let me address each one of those just for a moment. Global payments with a localized checkout experience. We enable our merchants to reach shoppers in 180 countries with 110 payment types, 60 currencies, and 29 different languages. This has a huge impact in increasing conversions for shoppers. Intelligent payment routing. We pre-package multiple acquiring banks in the various regions around the world to enable us to analyze transaction data and route transactions to the acquiring bank where we think it has the best chance for transaction success. In the event that a transaction's declined, we'll fail over those transactions to another acquiring bank. Typically, a gateway or a merchant is connected to a single point of failure, one acquiring bank. By connecting to multiple acquiring banks, we typically can get an uplift in sales by anywhere from 10 to 20%. And finally, let me touch on flexible integration options. BlueSnap's merchants can choose to connect through our direct API. They may choose to use our dynamically optimized hosted page where they can be in any country in the world in a matter of days and selling with a localized checkout experience. They can connect to us through our API with client-side encryption to minimize the PCI burden. And finally, they can even connect to us through some of the more popular shopping carts like Magento and PrestaShop. So that's our gateway. Sitting on top of that is a variety of value-added services, including a robust fraud prevention and security solution. Obviously, that's really important when you're trying to sell cross-border and globally. We also offer a full suite of e-commerce tools, including license key management, coupons, and upsells at checkout that can boost sales. And finally, we have a really strong and flexible subscription billing engine, which is a very popular method of increasing sales today. All of this is accessed through our Snap Console, which allows merchants to easily configure these things and pick and choose what they want to use. So let's talk about the opportunity in global e-commerce. I think everybody knows it's big. Today, e-commerce is huge. Total commerce is about $22 trillion, but e-commerce is still only about 7% of total retail, but it's growing at about 20%. In the future, I think everybody's heard about the Internet of Things. We expect about $7 trillion in e-commerce to come through things connected through on-off switches connected to the Internet. So what about mobile? Obviously, mobile is a big driver in e-commerce and cross-border commerce, but still it's only about 10% of total e-commerce, but growing very quickly. So we know the world's connected. Today, about 3 billion people have access to the internet. That's about 40% of the world's population. 20 years ago, less than 1% was connected to the internet. In fact, more people have access to mobile phones than a working toilet. At this point, by the end of this year, there'll be at least 5 billion things connected to the internet. So with all this connectivity, how are people going to buy stuff? Well, today, cards still dominate. About 90% of all transactions on the internet are still occurring on cards. But mobile wallets and alternative payment methods are still very important depending on the region or the country in which you're looking to sell. It's interesting that 2 years ago, in 2013, Starbucks, the Starbucks app, was responsible for 90% of all mobile transactions. Obviously, today they've got a lot more competition. Let's talk about alternative payment methods. Again, where cards dominate in online sales, it's still really important, depending on where you're looking to sell, to be offering and accepting certain alternative payment methods. For example, Alipay in China. Germany, for example, 90% of Germans do not pay with a credit card. They use payment methods like GiroPay and SOFORT. So if you're not accepting GiroPay and SOFORT, you're missing out on sales. Ideal in the Netherlands is a very popular payment method. Cartesì in Italy, Boletos in Brazil, all very important in those locations. So we think cross-border will be a huge part of the growth in e-commerce. Today it's only about $105 billion, but it's expected to grow by 63%. In fact, about 82% of shoppers have made at least one purchase online. But 75% of U.S. merchants are currently not set up to sell cross-border, and 9 out of 10 merchants find selling overseas to be too difficult. In fact, many of them are afraid of it. And with shipping and logistics, taxes, language, currencies, and some 500 different payment methods to consider, it's no wonder merchants find this to be overwhelming. So where is all this happening? There's 3 main areas to consider when looking to go global. By far, the bulk of e-commerce is happening in North America, Western Europe, and Asia Pacific. If you're looking for the best ROI, without a doubt, these are the regions of the world you want to focus. There are certainly other areas like Latin America that are growing quickly, but these 3 regions of the world are dominating e-commerce today. So what's getting in the way of all this? There are 2 big challenges: shopping cart abandonment and payment card declines. Let's talk about each one for a moment. Shopping cart abandonment is currently about 2/3. 2/3 of the time, shoppers get to the checkout page and choose to abandon for a variety of reasons. With mobile, it's even higher. It's almost 100%. 97% of the time, people are abandoning checkout on their mobile phones. So what are the reasons for this? Well, there's a variety. The checkout can be too complicated and time-consuming. The merchant's not offering preferred local payment types for the shopper. The checkout page is not in their local language and the local currency is not displayed. Card information is not stored for return shoppers, so again, it's complicated and they have to re-enter that information. Landed costs, things like taxes and shipping, are not clear, and it's not optimized for the mobile device. And the second thing that affects conversions is payment card declines. Again, 90% of transactions on the web are occurring through cards today. So this is a really important component. In the US, about 11% of cards are declined. In the rest of the world, it's about 16%. So what causes this? The reasons may be as simple as things like insufficient funds, but it also may relate to a combination of factors like shopper location, the currency, the card type, or the issuing bank location. A common scenario is where a foreign issued card is used and it's processed through a domestic acquirer. Again, through BlueSnap, where we're connected to multiple acquiring banks, we avoid the situation where there's a single point of failure. We'll analyze the transaction data and we'll route those transactions where we think and where our data shows they have the best chance for success. In the event that they're declined, we'll reroute those transactions and fail over to another acquiring bank. Another possibility could be a failure to use retry logic and account updater in a recurring billing model. Obviously, recurring billing models are very popular today, and it's a great way to grow sales. And if you're not retrying cards that may have insufficient funds, or you haven't updated accounts where the cardholder's account or card may be expired, you're going to miss out on sales. So those are kind of the two main issues affecting payment conversions. Let's talk about some case studies. So we're going to talk about three companies. These are three BlueSnap merchants: Kiddos, DisruptorBeam, and MyLife. We're going to talk about the challenges, the solutions, and the impact we had in helping these merchants to sell globally and increase their payment conversions. So let's take a look at Kiddos. Kiddos is a kid-friendly marketplace controlled and funded by the parents, where the kids can buy games, ebooks, and apps. Their challenge was they wanted to process payments in-app and not be redirected to a web page. They also wanted to support return shoppers with one-click purchases. They were very concerned with PCI compliance and wanted to offload the burden of PCI as much as possible. And they obviously wanted to support global shoppers. So what was the solution? In this case, Kiddos used BlueSnap's developer-friendly API with client-side encryption, which allowed them to control the checkout page but minimize the PCI scope. They also used our API for return shoppers so parents could easily refill the child's app store with one click. And through BlueSnap's global reach, we enabled them to reach shoppers all over the world. So what was the outcome? By moving to an in-app native buying experience, they increased conversion rates by 33%. Also, the one-click checkout process for return orders led to double the conversion rate. And of course now, Kiddos is reaching shoppers in 150 countries. So let's talk about MyLife. MyLife is a US-based merchant which provides leading online privacy and reputation protection services. MyLife's challenge was they were looking for a more responsive and expert support team to consult with them to help understand and increase payment conversion success rates. They had a long history with another partner, but they weren't getting the attention to help them understand how they were processing payments and how they might improve upon that to increase sales. They also had a very large subscriber base in a large subscription billing model. They wanted to learn how they could grow sales and lower churn through that base. And of course, they wanted a more modern, flexible payment technology. So what was the solution? The BlueSnap team analyzed their shopper data and their transaction data points to improve payment success. We also implemented an enhanced initial and recurring transaction process, including account updater functionality, and we used BlueSnap's Streamline API to optimize their payment conversion. The outcome to MyLife was they achieved a 20% uplift in conversions, they increased recurring revenue, and they reduced subscriber churn rates significantly. The single integration also allows them to expand into global markets. So let's talk about DisruptorBeam. You may be familiar with DisruptorBeam. They have a very popular show on HBO called Game of Thrones. They also have a very popular game called Game of Thrones Ascent. Their challenge was they wanted to create an in-game purchasing experience where the gamer did not have to leave the game to go to a different browser page to actually make a payment to buy silver and gold to continue playing. They wanted a seamless branded experience in their checkout process. They obviously wanted to reach a global audience, given that they've got some 10 million gamers worldwide. And they wanted to reduce expenses of using gaming platforms like Facebook and Google Play and iTunes, where they were losing 30% of the revenue. So what was the solution? In this case, Disruptor Beam used our dynamic hosted payment pages for a seamless in-game purchasing experience. They also localized the checkout experience based on the player's location. BlueSnap analyzed years of data from their Facebook experience and mapped to our payment types in those regions, and then suggested certain payment methods that made sense for their gamers. They also reduced the development time to literally 3 days. In this case, Disruptor Beam began coding on a Thursday, we tested on a Friday, and they were accepting payments on Saturday. So what was the result? We increased profitability on each transaction by greater than 20%. They also have currently expanded into over 100 countries, and they're encouraging repeat in-game purchases with that localized, seamless checkout experience where the gamer doesn't have to leave the game to make a purchase to buy more gold and silver. Let's take a quick look at what their checkout page looks like. This is an example of Game of Thrones iframe. They're using BlueSnap's hosted checkout page in an iframe, but you can see it's a highly customized, great-looking checkout page. And for return shoppers, it's a one-click buy. The gamer's in the game. You can see the game in the background. They choose to buy more silver. They click buy. They stay within the game, and they keep on playing. This has an enormous impact on the experience for the gamers and a big impact in sales for Disruptor Beam. So to summarize, it's important to have a strategy for cross-border payments to reach more global shoppers and increase conversions. If you take away anything from this, here are 8 key points in developing your strategy to sell cross-border. Number 1, start where the ROI makes sense. Obviously, you've got to think about your product mix and what type of shopper and where that makes sense. But there's no doubt the biggest 3 reasons to sell globally are North America, Western Europe, and China. Also, it's critically important to localize the checkout experience. You want the shopper to see their local language, their local currency, their local preferred payment methods at the time of checkout. By localizing that checkout experience, you can significantly increase your payment conversions. Also, think about how you want to integrate and optimize for mobile. If you want to build your own checkout pages or you want to go global quickly, maybe you want to build your own checkout page to the UK and you know you've got a high ROI there and you're willing to put the investment into coding and PCI, maybe that makes sense. But maybe you want to quickly be in Russia or Brazil or Germany. In those cases, it may make more sense to use BlueSnap's hosted page where it's optimized for currency, language, and country. Also, you may want to use popular shopping carts. Also, we think it's very important to connect to multiple acquiring banks. Again, the single point of failure leaves you nowhere to go if a payment transaction is declined. Through our solution, we're able to route transactions intelligently and fail over when they get declined. Fraud and PCI are critically important. Minimize risk with fraud prevention tools, and obviously it's critical that you're PCI compliant with sensitive cardholder data. Leverage subscription billing models. This is a huge growth area in e-commerce. About 50% of our clients currently employ some type of subscription billing model, and we think that's an important way to grow sales. Also capture more sales at checkout with e-commerce tools. Again, coupons and upsells at checkout. There's a variety of tools that can be used that can incrementally grow your sales. And finally, understand your landed cost if you're a physical goods merchant and display that to the shopper.
Excellent.
So thanks for listening. Steve, we have a few minutes here for questions if anybody has some.
Oh, you bet. You bet. That was a great presentation, Jeff, and thank you very much. I like the quick hit at the end in terms of the recommendations. If you guys who are on the line would like to ask us any questions at all, please use the question functionality on the right-hand side of the GoToWebinar system. And let me see here. I've got a couple that have come in during the presentation. So, Jeff, here's one for you. What do you think is a more important priority? Getting the payment method right, or being able to accept transactions in the local currency?
Steve, that's a great question. I'm not sure the two are mutually exclusive, but I would say the local payment method. You know, not having the currency is not likely to stop a transaction, but if you're not accepting a preferred local payment method, that would potentially stop a location. So you could have a German shopper that sees a product priced in USD, but if you're not accepting GiroPay or SOFORT, a preferred payment method in that country, you're not going to make that sale. I think many shoppers, certainly for U.S. merchants, are accustomed to seeing products priced in USD, so I think that's less important than accepting the local payment method. So I would have to say the payment method.
Okay, great. How much more complicated is it to accept recurring payments in other countries?
Well, it depends. So if you're asking, so I'm assuming this might be a U.S. merchant accepting payment from maybe a foreign customer. I don't think it matters if it's a recurring payment within the host country. Where the issue you can get into is where you've got a foreign issued card being processed through a domestic acquiring bank. That's a scenario that might raise a flag and might cause a transaction to be declined. But I don't think it really makes a difference whether it's a recurring payment situation in another country. The real issue, I think, is foreign issued cards processed through a domestic acquiring bank.
Okay, great. And here's another one. This is kind of funny. If you were in my shoes, okay. If you were in my shoes, what are the right questions to ask when evaluating partners when expanding to other markets?
Great question, Steve. That one's kind of an easy one because that's really the problem that we're looking to solve for here at BlueSnap. So when I think about the difficult problems we're trying to solve globally, it's really, you know, how easy is it to integrate? How flexible are my options to sell globally and to sell cross-border? You know, is it API only? Can I easily get into countries where I can get some ROI without having to spend 6 months of coding and investment? So I think flexible integration options is important. I've talked a lot about the intelligent routing. I think it's important to not be connected to just one bank. You can increase sales 10 to 20% if you've got options there. You know, the localization of the payment experience. If you're selling into shoppers in other countries, it's really important that they feel a local shopping experience. So those three things are the three things we're trying to knock down, and I think anybody that you're talking with, any partner you're talking with, somehow they need to address those things, or abandonment and payment conversions are going to be really low. You know, you probably want to ask the sort of table stakes questions like, you know, what do you do to handle fraud and PCI compliance? Obviously, you can't work around those, and those are critically important. But you know, I think those top three that we get through our single connection to our smarter gateway are really the big things that we're trying to attack. And I think that anybody looking to go global should be asking questions around localization, integration, security, and multiple acquiring bank scenarios.
All right, well, Jeff, that was fantastic. I want to say thank you so much for making time today, and thanks to you and the entire BlueSnap team for hosting our April webinar. If you've got any questions, Jeff's got his full contact information up on the screen with his email and phone number. And I'm going to be working with the BlueSnap team to get a rebroadcast of this webinar up and running on BlueSnap.com in short order. So if you missed part of it, or you want to have another coworker in your team be able to view this after the fact, please look for an email from us probably in a day or two with a link that you can actually view it online.
Great. Jeff, well, thank you, Steve. And thanks to everybody for listening. I hope you found this helpful. And if anybody has follow-up questions, again, you see my contact information. And please feel free to reach out to me at any time.
All right. Have a wonderful day, and thank you very much.
Thank you.